It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. What is issue-driven process or issue-driven framework? I know this sounds kind of strange to hear the topic even brought up, but there are many organizations who tell me that in order for them to get ahead, that they need to take care of all the things that are currently a problem and that they have to understand how they're going to take care of this constant and consistent inflow of interruptions and what am I going to do about that, right? And I guess I never really sat down and thought about people actually having an issue driven mindset. And I guess now that I'm thinking about it, that makes sense, right? That people would tend to focus on the problems and the negativity as opposed to focusing on something positive. So I have a list here of some things that I've identified. The top 5 things that I've identified as part of an issue-driven mindset, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what challenges you'll see if you're facing an issue-driven mindset and how it'll impact you. So right out of the gate, the first one I want to talk about is when you're issue-driven, it makes it harder for you to collaborate with stakeholders because the truth is you can't get to discussions about new things because you're constantly focused on fires or things that are happening. um, you shouldn't be talking with stakeholders about what's the next user request we're going to implement or what's the next bug we're going to fix. We should be focused on what's the next goal, what's the next thing we're going to do to try to have action and move forward. And I think that sometimes if we're in that issue driven mindset, we're constantly focused on problems and issues. All right, coming in at number 2, we need to start thinking of a feature or one of the things that we see is that we need to focus on goals instead of having a feature or factory mindset. And this is a challenge. When you're issue driven, you're always focused on productivity, and when productivity is measured by how many issues are done, and you create the illusion of doing all this progress, and it's great. We talked about the hidden factory, that sometimes this is not sustainable continual improvement. This is just improvement for the sake of improvement that's causing more grief and turmoil than anything else. So what I'm trying to say is there's definitely room here to talk about what can we do to adhere to a vision and to reach goals, or so how many goals were achieved, are we getting visibility, are we getting visibly closer to achieving our vision? Those are the kinds of things that we want to talk about instead of constantly focus on the data behind are we solving problems. It makes it harder for teams to achieve a high degree of collaboration. That's our next one. So a collection of loosely related issues is not conducive to collaboration. If you're going to have collaboration and cohesion, you need to get teams all on the same page working on the same things. If they're constantly working on disparate stuff, it's going to make it much harder. Another thing about issue driven mindset is it makes it harder to keep your eye on the ball. So when you have a backlog that's dominated by user requests and short-term feature ideas and bugs and defects, as opposed to a long-term vision of where we're trying to go and a strategic throughput, it will repress your ability to be able to see into the future, and it's going to stifle your ability to have a good vision. And then finally, it just makes it harder to follow Scrum. If when product and sprint goals are an afterthought and they're not something that you're working with your product owner to achieve, and everything is being artificial and forced on the team doesn't feel any urgency to do things the right way and to get things done. So it just makes it that much harder for us to understand the empirical process, to inspect and adapt. It makes it harder for us to be able to deliver value. It makes it harder for us to understand Scrum and to implement Scrum. So I think that all of these things, the message is just we shouldn't always be focused on issue driven policies. We need to make sure that we set team goals and that we set product goals and we set sprint goals, and that the goals give us a path to cohesion. They give us a path to doing the things that we need to do. And I think that if you switch to more of a goal plan model or a goal plan driven model, what you're going to find is you can still be iterative and you can still have goals, but it's not all or nothing. It's not one or the other. That you can still take care of the things you need to take care of. But if you have goals that you're constantly focused on, eyes on the prize, it's going to help you to get to the point where you're delivering better value faster. So I wanted to keep this one short and sweet. I hope this was good for you. If you have a topic you want us to cover, reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.